Hi, my name is Kristen and this is Kristen Craves Books. So I'm here with my June most anticipated book releases, and there are so many books coming out in June. It is wild, and normally I prepare a bit more for these videos, but there's just so many books, and the last 2 days I've been in bed with a migraine. I do get migraines a few times a month, and it's just I can't do anything, but I really want to get this video filmed because I've been excited about all the books coming out in June, and there's so many coming out on June 1st, which just happens to be my birthday. So I really want to share them. So I'll just get into it. I'll give you brief synopsises where I can, and let's go. And the first book coming out on June 1st that I know everybody's excited for, we're all highly anticipating this book, and it is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I found out recently that the main character of this book is actually one of Evelyn Hugo's husbands. I don't think they were talked about a lot in Evelyn Hugo, but I like that little twist, that little shout out to Evelyn Hugo, and that it's all in the same world. I just think that's really fun. And early reviews for this book have been incredible, and I know that it takes course over a party one night. I love books that happen within a matter of hours, and there's going to be lots of drama, so that sounds like a fun one, and it's Taylor Jenkins Reid, so going to read that one for sure in June. And then we have The Darkness Outside Us by Elliot Schreffer, and this is about two boys alone in space who they wake up and they don't have memories. It sounds a lot like Project Hail Mary that I just read, similar premise, but it is a romance between these two boys, and it's got the cutest cover. And I believe that it's hate to love, and one of the boys is on a mission to save his sister and will stop at nothing to succeed, and they start to work together, and it looks really interesting. I've been in a sci-fi mood lately. I recently put a poll on my Bookstagram asking what books people were excited about for June, and Ace of Spades came up so often, so I knew I had to add it to this list, and it's one that I am now very excited about as well. And this is a YA novel. It's said to be dark academia, and I think secrets are slowly revealed. There's an anonymous texter of some kind, and they post people's secrets, people's photos, and there's a mystery thriller element to it. Sounds fantastic. The next is one that I feel like I've been waiting for years, because I've been waiting for The Great Gatsby to become public domain so that we start getting retellings. This is the first one that I saw that I'm really excited for. It's The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nevo. And as I said, this is a Great Gatsby retelling, and we're following a main character who is queer and Asian, and she's kind of a novelty to her friends, and it's set in 1920s during the Jazz Age. And I saw something in there. The description's very vague, but maybe there's some ghosts in here. I don't know if that's metaphorical or legitimate, but we'll see. I'm excited about it. The next one is actually one that came up a lot on my Bookstagram, and it's The Nature of Witches by Rachel Griffin. And I'm so ready for all the witchy books. I'll probably save this one closer to the fall because that's when I really want to read this kind of book. And in this world, witches are in control of the weather, and I think there's some climate change commentary in here, and the story goes through all the seasons and how Clara, the main character, is struggling with her role in each of those seasons, and it's a really interesting synopsis, so I recommend you read it. And the next one coming out on June 1st is one I haven't heard too much about, and it's The Witch King, and I'll have to be honest, the cover of this one is what intrigued me the most. But I think it's interesting. It is a world where there's fae and witches, and the fae seem to be in control, and our main character is a witch, and he was supposed to be betrothed to someone, but then he loses his ability and he goes to the human world, and I think his fiance wants him to come back so that they could help their people. So that sounds really interesting. Great cover, as I said. And the next one I have is actually a YA novel that's set in the 1920s, which is my favorite area to read about, and it's The Sisterhood of Secret Ambitions. And this is interesting. It's about a society where women are trained to marry powerful men, and these 4 teenage girls are set to make a powerful man fall in love with them, and they find out that this person is set to become president. So that doesn't tell me very much. I'm really curious to see how that one goes. Now I have one more for June 1st, but I could have added so many more to this list, but I've been seeing this one around a lot lately, and I'm really excited about it. And it's called For the Wolf by Hannah Witten, and this seems to be a little Red Riding Hood retelling, and in this story, I believe it's a romance between Little Red Riding Hood and the wolf, and that Little Red Riding Hood has some kind of magical powers, and there's some kind of curse. I have been seeing a lot of booktubers getting arcs about this one and getting excited about it, so it does seem like a fun one. And I also want to mention, I do believe that One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston comes out June 1st, but I listened to the audiobook, and I will talk more about that in my May wrap-up. Now we're moving on to June 8th, and the first one I have looks really sweet. It's a YA contemporary romance, and it is We Can't Keep Meeting Like This by Rachel Lynn Solomon. And in this one, we have two main characters who each of their families work in the wedding industry. I think one's a caterer and one's an event planner, and they are constantly crossing paths. One of the main characters confesses her feelings to the other and is sort of rejected, and then the following summer, they see each other all the time, and I think being in that close proximity, they start to talk, and things lead from there. And I just like anything set around weddings, I always think it's fun, and there feels something very summery about this one. The next one I'm really intrigued about. It's called Girls at the Edge of the World, and this is by Laura Brooke Robson. And this seems to be dystopian. There's a great flood that's coming, and there's aerial silk performers involved, and it's also sapphic. So that's all I need to know about that one. It sounds really fun. Then we actually have a nonfiction title, and I want to read you the subtitle. So it's called Unwell Women, and this is by Eleanor Cleghorn, and it says A Journey Through Medicine and Myth in a Man-Made World. So this is all about how medicine is targeted towards men and how women are kind of left behind in this, and women's bodies are not protected. It says that it's a groundbreaking expose of the medical world and women's place within it. So I think that sounds like an important one. I do try to read at least one nonfiction title every month, so I think that'll be my June one. I know a lot of people are excited about this next one, myself included, and that is The Daughter of Sparta by Claire M. Andrews. So in this book, 9 items have been stolen from the Mount of Olympus, and our main character Daphne has been charged by Artemis to recover all these missing items, and it's somehow tied to her brother and the mortal world. So it obviously involves mythology. I love that. So intrigued by this. Last one for June 8th is The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reed, and this seems to be witchy. The synopsis didn't tell me too much, but we're following a main character who does not have the power that everybody else has, and then monsters come to her village and everybody is slaughtered except for one person. And I think there's a romance that happens in here, and they are on some kind of mission, but I have seen a little bit of buzz for this one. So now we're on to June 15th, and once again, there's quite a few books on here. I'm so sorry that this is such a long video. The first one is Indestructible Object by Mary McCoy, and this is a YA contemporary where our main character is brokenhearted and her life's kind of falling apart. She loses her job, her parents are getting separated, and she meets some people and they start a podcast. I love any book that has a podcast. This podcast is talking about love, and I think she really finds herself through this process, finds somebody, and she falls in love again, and it just sounds really sweet, and a journey about growth. I'm realizing that there are so many books about witches coming out in June, which is really exciting, and the next one is Blood Like Magic by Lizelle Sambury. So in this world, there's a calling, and our main character actually fails her first calling, and she's given a second chance, but she is tasked with killing her first love. And if she fails to do this, her entire bloodline will be stripped of their magic. So that sounds like a pretty intense premise, but I'm still really excited about it. The next one is actually a short story collection, and it's called The Tango Root Palace, and this is by Marjorie Liu. And I want to read you the synopsis because it breaks down a little bit about what the story is about, and it just sounds so wonderful. And once again, there's witches in it. So I'll just give you a part of it. It says, an apprentice witch seeks her freedom through betrayal, the bones of the innocent, and a meticulously plotted spell. In a world powered by crystal skulls, a warrior returns to save China from invasion by her jealous ex. A princess runs away from an arranged marriage, finding family in a strange troupe of traveling actors at the border of the kingdom's deep, dark woods. So those are just 3 stories within this collection. Do they not all sound incredible? I'm so excited about this one. And then the next one is one that is so hyped. People already have arcs. People are already loving it. It's everywhere. And that is The Maidens by Alex Michaelides. And he wrote The Silent Patient, which I heard mixed things about and never read. But this one really intrigues me because it's dark academia. I know that is a buzzword for so many of us. And this one actually takes place at Cambridge University, where a student is murdered and our main character is convinced that a professor is guilty of this, and then more students are killed, and I think she becomes kind of obsessed with the fact that she thinks this professor is the killer, and it goes on from there. So the next one is one I'm really intrigued about. It's called Revival Season by Monica West, and our main character is a teenager, and her and her family every summer go on what is called Revival Season, where they go through small towns, and her father heals people from their ailments, and it's sort of a calling. But then some act of violence happens, and she's questioning her father's authenticity, and then she kind of thinks that she has this power, but has always been told that it's not something that's granted to women, and the story plays out from there. So I think this has the potential to be really interesting and a great commentary. This one looks like a fun one for all the Bridgerton fans out there, and it's called The Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels, and this is by India Holton, and the cover just gives me such summery vibes, such Bridgerton vibes. I can see myself reading this one on the beach or poolside. I'm just going to read you the first paragraph because I think it perfectly sums up what this book is about, and it just sounds so fun. So it says, Cecilia Bassingthwaighte is the ideal Victorian lady. She is also a thief. Like the other members of Wisteria Society crime sorority, she flies around England drinking tea, blackmailing friends, and acquiring treasures by interesting means. Sure, she has a dark and traumatic past and an overbearing aunt, but all things considered, it's a pleasant experience until the men show up. So yeah, I'm excited about that. Now we're on June 22nd, and that is the last day, so I have 3 more books for you. The first one is one I am hesitant about, but I really should be excited, and it's My Contrary Lady, and that is by Cynthia Hand, Brody Ashton, and Jody Meadows. I loved My Lady Jane. I thought it was so fun and campy and great sense of humor, but I never continued on with that series because I heard mixed things. But now they have a new series where they're following famous Marys. So I am still so intrigued to try it, but I do kind of want to finish the Lady Janie series first. So let me know if that one's worth continuing. But My Contrary Mary set in Renaissance France and actually follows Mary, Queen of Scots, who I just adored. And anybody else watch Reign? I just adore that character. I just think she's fascinating. And I guess her secret is that she's a mouse, which sounds so ridiculous. But if you read My Lady Jane, you'll understand why that could work, because it's just so campy. These books are just so fun. Now, I've said this before that I love Peter Pan retellings, and this is one that I have a countdown for. I am so excited, and it is Darling by Kay Akram. So this one's set in Chicago, and it's a Peter Pan retelling, as I said, and Peter Pan shows up at Wendy's door, and they spend this time underground, and she meets Tinkerbell, who's like a punk rocker, and the Lost Boys kind of take care of her, and she has an enemy, Detective Hook, so sounds fun. I kind of like the modernization of this classic story. And then the last one is another nonfiction that I'm so excited about. I don't know how this wasn't on my radar already, because I loved Kate Moore's first book, Radium Girls. It's incredible. If you're looking to get into nonfiction, I highly recommend this one. But she's got a new book coming out on June 22nd, and it's called The Women They Could Not Silence. And the subtitle is One Woman, Her Incredible Fight for Freedom, and the Men Who Tried to Make Her Disappear. And if it's anything like Radium Girls, it's going to be so wonderfully told that it almost reads like narrative nonfiction, and it'll be so well researched. So this is the story of Elizabeth Parker, and it happens in 1860, and she's a mother and a wife, and her husband is incredibly abusive, and he has her sent to an insane asylum, and she meets a doctor there that is very unethical, and it's just horrifying conditions, and she realizes that she's not the only woman there that doesn't belong there, and they're all treated very poorly, and Kate Moore dives into the conditions and what they went through. So those are just some of the books coming in June that I am excited about. I'm sure there were more that I could have included, but this has already been filming for 30 minutes, so I'll just stop it right there. And if you have any books you're excited about that I missed, please let me know in the comments below. If you're excited about any of these, let me know, and thank you so much for your time. I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.